So, hey, we're in Logan Square at the Deadly Prey pop-up, talking to Brian. Tell us a little bit about Deadly Prey and how long has the gallery been open, and what are Ghanaian movie posters?
Sure. Well, do you want me to hold it? Or you
Oh,
hold it?
yeah.
Okay.
Whatever.
Okay. Well, Deadly Prey Gallery is it's a project that we've been doing for probably 8 years now. And Deadly Prey is these hand-painted Ghanaian movie posters from Ghana. Me and my partner in Ghana have been archiving these and selling them now for about 8 years. I started collecting them because of my video store Odd Obsession Movies. I originally started out with paper posters and would sometimes sell them out of the gallery. Got turned on to these from a book that came out called Extreme Canvas. And that came out maybe, almost 20 years ago now, I believe. I caught onto it kind of late, but found a guy probably on the 50th page of a Google search. And he told me that he could get me some of these posters, and I didn't have to pay for them right away, and I could just see what I could do with them. I ended up hanging them up in my video store, and people really liked them. That kind of caught on. Eventually, I got my own space and started archiving and selling them out of there. I've since moved to a studio in my apartment, and I sell them out of there now and do shows around town and in other cities. So really the history of it is it's these paintings done on the back of flour sacks, and the paintings travel, or they actually did travel. This mobile cinema isn't going on anymore, but 15 years ago it was going on. And these posters would travel with the actual movies, with a VHS, VCRs, DVD players, DVDs, a generator, TVs, all in a truck. And they would show movies in areas that didn't have electricity. So these posters that you see here are for the most part remnants of that time. There's also newer posters that the artists who worked back then make as art now for people interested in having custom work done. But for the most part, these have traveled in Ghana.
Right, the real movie posters as
Right.
opposed to works of art that have been made specifically to sell.
Exactly, and it's the same artist doing it. It's just that the actual system of the mobile cinema doesn't exist anymore. But the artist still exists and want to paint them.
Right.
So it's great that people are still interested in them as art, and we do this custom thing now, where people can request movies that they like and get a custom painting done by one of the artists who were working back in the day.
Cool. Could you talk about a few of those artists? I know Mr. Brew is one of the most collected.
Oh, sure. Yeah, so Mr. Brew's probably the most collected artist. He, unfortunately, we haven't heard from him in about 8 years. I've never spoken with him. My partner's never even spoken with him. But he's this renowned artist who has a great, just a great style. It really mimics like old carnival paintings. And, his stuff has arguably been the most popular throughout the years of all artists, I guess. We work with 7 artists today, actually, all of who worked back in the 90s. And those guys are Heavy J, Farkira, Mr. Nana Akyu, Stoger. There is Leonardo, Mark Anthony, and nice. And who's the last guy? Salvation, last artist. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so a lot of these are technically sort of bootleg posters because they're Western movies that were
Right.
they couldn't get the original posters for whatever reason, and they hired artists to paint these on rice sacks, right?
Exactly. So they're actually painted. What you see here are all it's actually like a large flour sack that's been cut in half and sewed together. So, and that makes about a 60 by 40 inch canvas for the paintings. And it's a very, very sturdy piece of material because it has to be, because they'd roll it up and
It's just out in the elements.
travel everywhere.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's going to rain outside, real sunny, all that. So a lot of these you can tell that they've been out a while, but they also might look like they're 40, 50 years old when they're actually only 10 years old or something. Yeah.
Cool. Can we talk about maybe if people are interested in getting their hands on these or checking them out firsthand? Is there an Instagram or a website or?
Yeah, definitely. So you can go to, the best way to see them is on the Instagram site. Deadly Prey Gallery is the handle. And there's I think maybe 1,500 photos on there of hundreds and hundreds of different posters. The website's Deadly Prey Gallery, Facebook at Deadly Prey Gallery. I run the studio out of my apartment. So if anyone's ever interested in seeing them in person, they could come visit me at my studio. And a great idea to keep in mind is commissioning a piece for the movie you like.
Because you've been featured in a few posters yourself, right?
Accidentally, yeah.
Accidentally, but they're still pretty cool. I mean, is that kind of like? Were they doing custom stuff before that was an? Because that was a different. It was just, you weren't even involved in that, right?
Right. I feel like they always had been doing custom stuff in their own way. It's always been a thing. And as a gift, my friend just gave me. I love Charles Bronson, and as a gift, my friend in Ghana, who I've been working with all this time, had a poster commissioned for me by the artist Stoger. Of me and Charles Bronson. So it's me holding a big gun with sunglasses on and Charles Bronson above me.
I saw it. It's hilarious.
Totally. And then my sister Heidi, a couple years later, Stoger also made one for her, commissioned by my friend for Heidi, and it's of her as the Deadly Prey guy. So it's actually like the Deadly Prey guy, but with boobs and my sister's face.
I'll have to check that out. I mean,
I'll send you a picture.
Well, we'll show a picture of because you have the Deadly Prey poster here,
right?
Which is the inspiration for the name of the gallery, and that's probably is that the first poster you got a hold of?
That was one of my first posters, and actually the reason why we chose the name Deadly Prey is my partner in Ghana. It's one of his favorite movies. It's also one of my favorite movies. But what's interesting about Deadly Prey is it stands right beside, say, Terminator 2, Matrix, Rambo. It stands beside all of them in popularity in Ghana. But obviously, in the U.S. where it's made, people who like T2 or Matrix or Rambo don't even know what Deadly
I've never heard of it until I saw the poster.
Right.
Yeah.
So I just thought that really spoke a lot to the to how open-minded everyone is with movies there, let alone how interesting it is what gets popular and where.
Right. Yeah.
And that was fascinating to me because those movies are right up my alley. But of course they're not super popular in the U.S.
Yeah.
But in Ghana they are, and that was fascinating to me that me and my friend shared that same thing too. Worlds, and an ocean apart in different continents, and like we have the same taste in movies because that's what he grew up with also. So it's pretty interesting just through a completely different system.
It's so weird.
Yeah.
I'd like to talk a little bit about some of the bootleg posters like Lethal Weapon or The Matrix that you have. Like the posters aren't. I mean, stuff happens in the posters that don't happen in the movie.
Sure.
And it's kind of consistent. Like there's a lot of eyeballs and decapitations and stuff like that. I know neither of us are experts on this, but I don't know if we could speculate how and why the stuff makes it into these posters.
Well, so what I think is, there's surely different. There's a lot of different religions around there, and a lot of different types of, ways to look at spirituality. Yeah. So I think that for sure plays a part in what's seen in the posters, but also it's something just as simple as we want to get as many people in here as possible. Yeah. So we're going to put an extra snake in there. We're going to put an extra skull in there. We're going to make this look totally crazy. And it doesn't matter because once they're in there, people are going to enjoy it anyway because it's cool, and and we're all seeing a movie together. So it's just a great experience in that way, like seeing a movie with a group of people, let alone a movie that you're just expecting just to rock. And I actually asked my friend in Ghana, I was like, so do audience members get annoyed when the poster doesn't match up with what they're seeing? And he says, oh no, it's not about that. He's like, but people will want to see the movie with the crazier poster. It's just natural. Yeah. Nobody's mad though when they see the movie and it's not the same. It's just like, all right, it's sort of known already. But definitely a lot of liberties are taken by the artists to make the posters seem a little more crazy.
I'm always curious because you've seen some like the actual Ghanaian movies that they're producing, like in Ghanaian Hollywood kind of stuff. Right. These artists also do a lot of posters for those, right?
No doubt about it. Probably, and today more because the Gollywood and Nollywood movies are so popular now. I mean, they're the third largest film industry in the world now, just next to India and the U.S. Yeah, so they're busy making posters for Native African movies now, more so than the American movies.
You've seen a couple. Do like the stuff that's in the posters? Do those happen in those movies, or is it once again they just thrown in?
It's a little. I mean, yes, they do, but it doesn't look as good as it does in the posters. I think that the effects are maybe a little off, or not a little off, just a little less high tech than these high tech effects they're showing in the posters.
Because I know there's always like priests on them, and I know some of the movies are about like kind of weird witch doctors and stuff like that.
Yeah. I feel like in most horror movies made in Ghana and Nigeria, the main character is a priest, and he's fighting evil.
Right.
And that's the theme of most horror movies in Ghana.
It's the theme of a lot of movies. Just it's just.
Just in general, yeah.
I was kidding.
Priest is bad. Yeah.
Got The Exorcist.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's others.
I just put in an order for an Exorcist poster yesterday. Actually,
Part 1 or
part one.
Okay.
Yeah.
See how that turns out.
Yeah, we'll see what happens.
Maybe we'll get the whole trilogy.
Yeah, I asked for her levitating above the bed, and whatever else happens. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, I know you've been touring a lot with Deadly Prey stuff. Are there any shows coming up that people might want to check out, or anything happening?
Right now, so what's going on now? No, I don't have anything scheduled for the next 2 months actually, besides trying to get to Ghana. So that's all. So I'm working on that. So I actually didn't schedule anything for the next 2 months because I wanted an open-ended time of when I could go, but it keeps getting pushed back now.
Are you going to Ghana with the show then?
Probably just going to Ghana just to hang out.
Awesome.
Yeah, and see stuff. Yeah.
Are you going to try to connect with some of the artists that you might not know?
Yes. Okay. I'm going to connect with as many artists as possible and do exactly what you're doing with them.
Cool. Yeah, document it. I want to check it out. Yeah. I want to know all about these guys because there's only that one book really that anybody has any information about any of this stuff, right?
So and there's since come out another book called Bloodywood, which is really nice. So there's Extreme Canvas and Bloodywood, which gives you a little history on it. So Bloodywood's a great one to check out.
Yeah, check it out. Yeah. Check it out, guys. Okay, cool. I mean, thanks for hanging out.
Oh, thanks, Ernest.
The show's great.
For sure.
Come check out Brian's stuff on Instagram and on the internet and all that fun stuff. But wow, something's going on over there. Talk to you guys later.